announce and inform our audience of a few concerns that the security needs us to know. Firstly, please take a minute to acknowledge the nearest fire exit to you for safety reasons. I'd also like to inform all delegates, in particular delegates, that chewing gum is completely forbidden on campus. Food is not allowed in your committee rooms. Mobile phones must be on vibrate throughout the duration of the conference and switched off during the opening ceremony. Also, because this is a women's campus, gentlemen, please do not roam around very freely in undesignated areas without a teacher or a director with you. Final thing to note is that mobile cameras are not allowed. So we will have a photo booth on the second day, and you are allowed to use other kinds of cameras. Okay. Good morning, honorable guests, officials, and delegates. Welcome to CAMUN 2015. Can we have a round of applause? Let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Pragya Chabla, and I'm the Director General for this year's annual conference, which is an absolute honor that I value immensely. Today we have a set of wonderful chief guests lighting up the conference with their presence. They are from ADEC, Miss Mariam Al-Ali. And we have Miss Mariam Al-Fahim from the Higher College of Technology. We are extremely honored to have you here. So, my personal fondness for the vivid and non-parallel experience that CAMUN provides has been, like Ivy, a growth of time. I hope you enjoy CAMUN as it is beginning as much as I always have. After having known this conference inside out on paper, always in logistics but never in essence, today I am extremely excited to be here to witness this conference finally come to life after months of hard work. This year, like every one of its predecessors, is expected to surpass expectation in terms of performance. We are overjoyed to welcome you at our grand venue, the Higher College of Technology, Abu Dhabi Women's College in Khalifa City. We would like to thank Ms. Mariam Al-Fahim for her coordination with our officials to help us organize such a beautiful venue. Thank you. So we really do hope that you hope to share in the success and enjoy the transformative experience that CAMUN becomes. And I don't use the word transformative hyperbolically. I really do believe, and CAMUN has taught me to believe this, that if adequate time, effort, and good intention are combined and invested into understanding crises that affect humanity today, I believe if they can be fully and holistically understood, that they can be reduced to common ground and differences in opinion, and therefore, to some extent, conquered. I think the development of political connectivity in youth is truly transformative. I speak for CAMUN when I say I believe in the power of people. Beneath the facade of big words and rigid procedures, admittedly, that you will face over the next few days, it is this skill, social responsibility, and good intention combined that we want you to develop at CAMUN, aside from being able to recite excessively long words, which I promise is a useful skill. We want to work beyond immediate crises. We want to work before, during, and after. We want both prevention and cure. We want teenagers to think big and research for balanced and well-cogitated solutions in a world rife with questions. We want resolutions that are both preventative and conciliatory, but do not abandon crisis once it is resolved. We work with words, composure, and diplomacy led by baby steps like intuition and good intention. Ladies and gentlemen, CAMUN has taught me so many things. I hope our audience and our delegates leave this conference with a thirst for exploration of human conflict and an etched sense of direction and service. We will now have our team video.
It is not our job to toughen our children up to face a cruel and heartless world. Today, it is our job to raise children who make the world a little less cruel and heartless. We have learned to talk, to understand, to accept, leading us to our greatest successes and our greatest failures. With a hope of a better future, a belief that progress is possible, let us take a stand and walk with others, for the future depends on what we do today. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow is yet to come. We only have today. Let us begin and go beyond the crisis.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Shama Abdullah. I am this year's Secretary General. The first time I heard about MUN, all I wanted to do was be a part of it. Of course, thinking back in year 6, you don't really know if MUN is for future models, but eventually I went about the next few years trying to understand what this club is about. And I'll be honest, it was a little scary, but once I experienced my first conference, I was very drawn to it. I didn't expect to get this far, however. Standing here with a piece of paper in front of me that I probably looked at for a very long time, thinking of the tiniest errors. There were a lot. I never expected all of this to be what I dreamed of doing, but then again, I've never dreamt this big. One thing I've never understood about MUN till this day is that there's never a time where good is great. The only thing you should expect from yourself is excellence and nothing more. It has not been a one-man show. I would have no idea what I'd be doing right now if I did not have the help of the Director General, Pragya Chawla, and our MUN coordinator, Mr. Ganti John. To be honest, none of this would be what it is today, and for that I am grateful. I am inspired by strong women, and I've been surrounded by them for my entire life. And I'm glad today is the day I understand what they've been preparing me for. The next 3 days will be the best experience, and I hope for everyone. This year's theme is Beyond the Crisis, a succinct representation of our values, assuming the social responsibility at all times, and becoming politically aware citizens as a means of bettering the world for future generations. For the next 3 days, I expect to witness extreme making. I'll be honest, I'd like to see delegates understand the threats and opportunities in every given scenario. My team and I have worked very hard this year to make a stepping stone for the future. This is the first ever international conference, and with this new and beautiful venue given to us that has been we've been honored with by the higher colleges of technology. I'll be honest here, as I pour everything out to you, I realize that I'm not only hoping for the best conference, but I'm dreading the day it ends. This day This conference is what many of us have been dreaming about, and what our predecessors have dreamt about since back in 2008. To conclude, I will leave you with this. There could be multiple quotes that I could use to inspire you, but I think the best would not even have to be so profound. So finally, don't wait until the end of this conference. Be brave, be the best, and you will see the change that you've made. Start here and start now. I would now like to bring all the officials of CAMUN 2015 up on the stage. Starting with the President and Vice President of Security Council. The President is Simran Prasad, and co-chair is Hensley D'Souza. For the Historical Security Council, President Lamia Divasali and Vice President Sedan Jason. For DISEC, President Sara Alani and Vice President Anurit Rai. For SACAM, President Zaleen Lanidin and Vice President Danilo Panasekura. For ICJ, President Mehnaz Mahmood and Vice President Nidhi Manoj. In operations, our directors Sneha Bhutani and Hamad Muhammad Arif. Associate Director, Sadaf Mahmood. And our advisor, Taragini Tavendra. Training and Research, Directors Nisha Shivak Ramani, Dipper Shetty, and Vaisali Sanjeev. Advisor, Malik Arfa. And finally, for Media, Director Ann Pius and Rashmika Talwar. Associate Directors Ahmadeus and Desiree Fernando. Advisors Alif Rasadi and Kumail Mustafa. And finally, our website makers Lavesh Tajwani and Mohammed Fahim. May we please have one more big round of applause for our officials. Thank you. May I now call upon Pragya back to the stage.
Thank you, Shama. Delegate officials, please exit. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge our very honorable guest, Mr. King, our principal. Thank you for being here, sir. We will now have Ms. Mariam Al-Ali come on stage and give us a few words of wisdom.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Good morning everybody, especially high school students. We look at this event as an opportunity for you guys to become the leader of tomorrow. And one of our greatest goals is to see students who were born and raised and educated in the United Arab Emirates and Abu Dhabi become leaders of tomorrow. And always Sheikh Mohammed, the Crown Prince, he always says, whether they are locals or non-locals, we want them to have the best education and the best memories. I have recently came from Harvard training, which was leadership. And I see you guys here as the leaders of tomorrow. I wish you to take this opportunity seriously and think of your future, what you can give to first your parents and the school and to the country of UAE and Abu Dhabi. I appreciate the invitation and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you, Ms. Ali. We value your presence so dearly at this conference. I'd now like to introduce our keynote speaker, who is the Head of Education at the Tony Blair Faith Foundation in United Kingdom. He is an advocate of intercultural dialogue to promote peace, and he is an expert in religion and geopolitics. He has a special message for CAMUN.
Hello everyone. Many thanks for inviting me to send a message to your gathering today. It's an honour to be invited. I just wish that I was there in person rather than here in a rather chilly UK. My name's Ian. I'm Head of Education at the Tony Blair Faith Foundation, which will be best known to many of you as the organisation that runs the Face to Faith programme. We connect young people for dialogue with their global peers in order to build greater global understanding, but also to empower young people, not just with the critical skills that they need to be able to negotiate difference, but also with the experience of being able to speak freely to their peers around the world, to ensure that they feel that they have a voice, one that can be heard right around the globe. Now, I've been asked to make some remarks to begin your Model UN Day beyond the crisis. And obviously, considering the work that we do, I would very much like to concentrate on the contribution that dialogue can make in helping people to avoid, or indeed to deal with, the crises that seem to mark the progress amongst international actors in the world. People often critique these skills, and indeed this is sometimes part of a wider critique of the United Nations itself, and they ask, what's the point of talking? We need action to solve the problems of the world. Well, that's true, but I would like to make a very strong case that talking is often extremely important as well. So to begin with, I want to start off by claiming my space, by saying this is what I think dialogue is. Because dialogue is a particular kind of conversation. It's not just two people having a little chat. It's a conversation that takes place in a safe space, created particularly for that conversation, and very often, certainly in global contexts, it's often controlled by a neutral facilitator, someone who has, no allegiance to either side. There are going to be agreed protocols on how the dialogue is conducted, and also a number of very, very important skills will often be needed to make a dialogue work well. We have to listen actively. That means really listening to what people are saying. We have to cultivate empathy, trying to think, how does it feel to be the person that I'm speaking to? We have to learn to disagree respectfully rather than just shouting our own opinions. We have to think carefully and critically about what we're hearing. Are we learning the truth? How can we find out more? What are the good questions we could ask to gain a greater understanding? We have to reflect upon what we've heard rather than just snapping back with an emotional response. Above all, we have to speak from our own personal perspective, to stop representing others and saying, we all think this. And we must also ultimately approach everything with an open mind. Now, if you think about the way that we often talk to one another, doing all those things makes for quite a special conversation. And that's what dialogue is. And a dialogue has a specific goal, which is about understanding different perspectives. We're learning to communicate and share different viewpoints in a positive way rather than in an argument or a conflict. We're not winning, we're not losing, we're learning. And that learning is particularly important. And I'd like to start really by considering how dialogue can help people to avoid crises occurring. Okay? And if we look at the world today, or indeed even life in our own classrooms, we can see that any given group of people, a country or a community, can often be misunderstood or misrepresented by those elsewhere in the world. And sometimes this is compounded by vested interests who want to gain political or other capital by making these misunderstandings worse. This ignorance of the other not knowing what someone else is really about, often leads to prejudice. Prejudice arises when we don't know somebody, when we don't understand them. And prejudice lies at the root of conflict. It's our inability to understand one another that holds us back. So dialogue can help us to dispel this ignorance. By engaging in dialogue with others, we are empowered because we grow to genuinely understand them, to reach past the smoke and mirrors of the images created by the media, to understand them as people. And at the same time, they grow to understand us. And as we grow in understanding, our prejudices will fall away. And we establish genuine relationships because we no longer see these individuals as people who represent something that we don't like, but we learn to appreciate them as individuals. We might not always agree with them, that's quite important, but we certainly learn to appreciate and understand them. And this is a powerful preparation for crisis for two reasons. Firstly, it reduces the risk of bad things happening in the first place. If we understand one another, prejudices go away, and often the conflicts that are supported by those prejudices become much harder to generate. But if the crisis does occur, we are actually much better placed to deal with it quickly. And that could be as individuals who've already built relationships with people on the other side, who are much more quickly able to start addressing it, but also more broadly in communities. If we have a better understanding of one another, then we are much better equipped to start dealing with the challenges of crisis. Now, this is particularly important for the Model United Nations model. You now have the ability to talk easily to young people from all over the world, from the countries whom you'll be representing in a Model United Nations. You don't have to present what you think their concerns are. You can just find out, because you're uniquely gifted as a generation, and that for the first time in human history, you can easily communicate with people all over the planet using technology that we all have available. Now, whether you do so through face-to-face or through other programs doesn't really matter. What's important is that you do it, because that's a unique privilege and you shouldn't waste it, because you have the opportunity to really understand other young people around the world and to speak directly to them and share your own concerns. Dialogue is also key in the way that we deal with crises and in being able to bring real healing and reconciliation afterwards. Even where a crisis is ended by a military victory, bad feelings will still fester unless there is a genuine peace process that enables people to unpack how they feel about things and to share their suffering. And if you look at the peace processes that have happened around the world in recent history, in Northern Ireland, in Bangsamoro in the Philippines, in South Africa, dialogue has always played a critical role in helping people to move beyond their prejudicial approach to one another. If you read about any of those peace processes, there's always a stage where people have had to tell their stories, where they're talking about what has happened to me, what has happened to my family. These are the things that I've experienced. That has to be done so that people are able to share and understand one another. Because when one learns to see someone as a person rather than as my enemy, then genuine understanding can begin, and truth and reconciliation can begin to flourish. Now, it's often easy to deride talking as not really addressing the issue, but ultimately, it's the only way to address the issues, certainly the only way that will last and will enable human beings to flourish and develop. Talking in dialogue is a challenging and difficult process. It's not easy, and sometimes it requires us to learn about ourselves, and some of the things we learn will be painful truths, as well as about the people that we're speaking to. But ultimately, I think it's the key to building a peaceful future, whether that's within a community or around the globe, and ensuring that we can all step beyond the crisis together. So, I hope that's some food for thought, and I'd like to wish you all the very best for your work today. Thank you.
Deeply value Mr. Ian Jamieson's insight here at CAMUN and hope you learn something from it. We would now like to call upon Head of College Services from the Higher College of Technology, our honorable guest, Ms. Mariam Al-Fahim.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. Respected Dr. Mariam Al-Ali, Head of Planning and Policy Department at Abu Dhabi Educational Council. Mr. Jonathan King, CEO, Principal, the Cambridge High School. Distinguished guests, ladies, gentlemen, and of course, our young students. It's my privilege and honor to welcome you to the Higher Colleges of Technology, Abu Dhabi Women's College, Khalifa Campus, as the hosting site for the Cambridge Model United Nations Conference 2015. Its city values its relationships with the Cambridge schools, high schools, as we share the core values of Model United Nations to positively affect the lives of participants and to prepare them to better global citizens through quality educational experience that emphasize collaboration, mutual respect, and cooperative conflict resolution. I believe that the next few days will be rewarding, and the 2015 conference will be a big success. Once again, thank you so much for joining us at Abu Dhabi Women's College, and we wish you all the best. And please feel free to use our facilities at Abu Dhabi Women's College. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mariam Al-Fahim. We really value the support that Higher College of Technology has offered us throughout the preparation of this conference. We would now like to call upon our extremely honorable Principal of the Cambridge High School, Mr. King, to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning to you all. Distinguished guests, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I would firstly like to extend a warm welcome to all of you to the Cambridge United Nations Conference 2015. I would like to extend a special welcome to Dr. Mariam Al-Ali, Head of Policy and Planning from ADEC. ADEC, our regulator in Abu Dhabi, is committed to the development of world-class education, and I thank them for their continued support for Cambridge and GEM schools across the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. Thank you, ma'am, for giving up your valuable time today to join us. I'd also like to thank the Higher Colleges of Technology and its leadership for partnering with us in providing such a fantastic venue as you see yourselves for this conference. And again, I'd like to thank Mariam Al-Fahim, Head of College Services, for her welcome and the conference this morning. I've just dropped my speech, so I'm going to pick it up now. Terror, fear, apprehension, anger. These are all emotions felt by some of the innocent victims who have been caught up in the tragic events that have taken place over the past month globally and continue to take place. It gives me great pride to be standing here today to celebrate the 5th year of our school's annual Model United Nations Conference and go beyond the crisis. This is the first year. This year we have 11 schools from across the UAE, but also we have a visiting school from Africa. And this is the first time the conference has an international school attending. So congratulations to the organisers for that. Can you give them a big round of applause? I'm looking forward to witness some of the intense debates that will take place over the weekend. You will be faced with many challenges, but will be given many opportunities to promote excellence, success, confidence, and self-esteem in how you act and behave, particularly under pressure. The first international schools were set up in the late 19th century in Japan, Switzerland, and Turkey. The United Nations was formed in 1945, following World War II. Both of these organisations exhibited at the time, and still do today, values of honesty, responsibility, tolerance, and respect for the rights of others. There is true power in unity, and anything is possible if we work together. You are the future leaders. Tolerance, understanding, and respect for others' cultures and traditions are vital in leading us successfully into the 21st century. Many of you have had to research other cultures and beliefs for this conference. I hope you've done your homework. Have you? Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan once said, "He who does not know his past cannot make the best of his present and the future, for it is the past that we learn." The world of education is in a constant change. You need to be at the cutting edge of that change. Ask yourself this question. During this conference, what you do, action you take, opportunities you embrace, what will it mean this time next year? I see in your eyes that eagerness, passion, and hunger for learning and wanting to make a difference. So take that step this weekend. For a better world, what changes things are people. People, people, people. It is people that change things because they think differently. Some of the greatest leaders of the past, the present, and the future are the troublemakers, are the rebels, are the square pegs in the round holes. They see things differently and push the human race forward. You are the future of the world. I know this weekend we will have outstanding and inspirational students with supportive teachers, so go out there and make a difference. Be passionate and infused about what you do, and engage in making this conference an outstanding learning experience and one to remember. Thank you, and may your God bless you.
Thank you, sir. I think at Cambridge we are extremely fortunate to be witness to the development of extremely successful, socially responsible students. And some of these students also, just like yourselves, have sacrificed several hundred weekends for this conference. Some of them are our Secretary Generals, and they have a message for us too today.
Hi, my name is Sweta Ganesan, and I am one of the founding members. Hi, my name is Sweta Ganesan, and I am one of the founding members of the Model United Nations Club in the Cambridge High School, Abu Dhabi. Before I say anything, I must thank this year's MUN committee for graciously asking me to speak at this year's ceremony. I may not be there physically, but I'm definitely here in spirit. MUN at Cambridge started out with very humble beginnings, with a mere 12 students running and participating in the club. To know that it has grown into a proper inter-school affair leaves me proud and makes me believe those sleepless nights 4 years ago were actually worth it. Being part of the MUN in high school was an intellectual experience that improved my confidence, oration, negotiation, communicative ability, research skills. The list is endless. But that elation you feel when you finally pass that resolution after rounds of moderated caucuses, innumerable points of information and amendments is really something else. Above all, being part of an MUN club, representing a delegation, traveling together, preparing for a conference or even a training session has taught me the importance of teamwork. I've been on both sides of the MUN club, as a delegate and as a Secretary General. Both positions had their individual requirements, but the common successful factor was teamwork. The head delegate was only as good as his or her delegation. The Secretary General was nowhere without his or her organizing committee. My fondest memories of the MUN was working with other students and teachers to ensure the success of the conference, and this has stayed with me through university and now through my career too. My best wishes to the whole CAMUN team. Thank you for allowing this club and this dream to flourish to such great heights, and I cannot wait to see what is in store for CAMUN in the future. Good luck and have fun.
Hi, I'm Rikis, an ex-Secretary General of CAMUN. I would like to congratulate everyone who was involved in organizing this conference for finally getting CAMUN international. Congratulations, and I hope it's a big success. I'm not going to talk much about my experiences with MUN because I don't think that's very interesting. I think it's more interesting to talk about you guys. What I did learn from MUN though is that it's not enough to look at the world and to see what's happening, but that you should also take the time to think about it and to articulate your own opinion about it. So I hope that you guys will have the courage to do that in this conference, to look at things that are happening in the world, to take the time to think about them, to think critically, and not only to see them as problems that need solutions, and not only to think in terms of solutions that we currently have, but also to dare to think differently, to dare to think of a totally new way of doing things, a way that's never been thought about before. Because really, yeah, that's all hope we have. Good luck and have fun.
Hi, my name is Priya Ann George, and I'm proud to say I was once the Secretary General for the Cambridge Model United Nations. Firstly, congratulations on your first international conference. Wow, having seen the club grow since its inception, it is really an incredible milestone. It just goes to show how a simple initiative can have such an amazing impact. CAMUN would really not be where it is today if it weren't for the students and teachers that literally put in blood, sweat, and tears into the club over the years. Thank you. You should all be extremely proud of yourselves. CAMUN was definitely one of the major highlights of my school life. What I learned from being a part of MUN I still apply today. I'm so happy to call myself an ex-member of the Cambridge Model United Nations. I wish you all the best for this year's conference.
Hi, my name is Ritvik Sinha and I'm a charter member and an ex-Secretary General of the Cambridge Model United Nations. At the onset, I'd like to thank the organizing committee for inviting me to speak at this year's conference. I'm so proud to see CAMUN evolve from a 12-member run event to an international one, and so congratulations to all of you for making what was once a dream possible. MUN helped me develop important life skills that helped me through school, even going as far as obtaining university scholarships, and I'm sure it will do the same for you. I'd like to wish you all the best of luck. CAMUN is all about encouraging participants to think in ways that haven't been thought in, and I can guarantee you it will be an amazing experience. So enjoy and make your presence felt.
Hello everybody, my name is Mehnaz. Now some of you watching this video may already know me from last year's Cambridge Mall United Nations Conference as the Secretary General. For all those of you returning for more stimulating and action-packed debates, welcome back. And to all the newbies who are stepping into the court for the very first time, into our celebrated club, Welcome to CAMUN 2015. Now, it is a little bizarre for me to be sitting and speaking to all of you today. I remember the very first time I was acquainted with the Cambridge Mall UN nearly 5 years ago. It was and will always be one of the most important and memorable conferences of my life. Not because my words were hardly legitimate, and not because I had enacted the whole concept of MUN, but because it was the very first step on my journey to where I've reached today. Dear delegates, this year's theme is called Beyond the Crisis. I want you all to make the most of the opportunity given to you in the next 3 days, because it is through MUN that you learn the importance of communication, the art of debating, expression of opinions, overcoming stage fright, and the myth associated with public speaking and how frightening it is. Just remember, give it your best shot. After all, we all have to start somewhere and someday, and maybe today might just be your someday. Good luck and thank you.
Finally, I would like to call upon our Honorable Secretary General, Shama, to open the conference.
I now declare this fourth session, Cambridge Model United Nations 2015, open.